Hey, John Morey here, and today I'm going to show you my method for painting realistic skin in Photoshop. So looking at this reference picture, I noticed there's a lot of different values and colors in the skin. So right here, where there's some reflected light coming up this way, it's more purple, more cooler color. And as you go up into the cheek here, it's a little bit warmer pink color. And up here in the highlight, it's a little bit warmer tan color. Looking at the shadows here, this is a warm shadow. This is a little bit cooler shadow. This is even cooler shadow, but lighter. Looking at the lips here, it's really warm, almost red color. And on the reflection on the bottom of the nose here, it's more blue, cool color, and then as it fades up into a warmer, darker shadow here, and in the highlight here, and here, as it gets direct light, it's more warm. So there's lots of different things going on in the skin. It's not just one skin tone, but it's multiple things that are affecting the color of the skin, reflections and shadows and what's going on in the environment and lighting, things like that. So I'm going to look at this reference photo and try and capture those different things happening.
Now I gotta warn you, you're gonna have to brace yourself because this is gonna get ugly before it gets pretty. And that's kind of the way it is with my painting. Is I just push through the ugly because I know that through the process it's going to look better. So the first step in the process is to, with a hard edge brush, come in and just start filling in where these patterns of color are, and not worrying about blending it or anything like that, just hard edges. And then after that, I come in with still a hard edge brush but with opacity and start to blend it just a little bit by drawing over the edge and then sampling the value in between and just blending it that way. And I find if I do that, then the skin ends up being, or whatever it is I'm blending, ends up being a lot smoother and doesn't look painted. And then, so after that, I come in finally with a soft brush with an opacity, pressure opacity, and come in lightly and just start blending even more, getting those values blended. And that's not always the case with different materials or textures, but with this skin, I really want to get that blending right. Having said that, it's not, I don't want the skin, a lot of times what happens is you blend it so much that the skin looks fake. It looks airbrushed, it looks porcelain, and not lifelike. And so I'm going to get to a point where that's the way it's going to start to look. And then I'm going to come back in and add some texture and some lighting effects so that it looks more lifelike, because skin isn't flat. There's variations, there's pores, there's different things going on. While I could go in there and draw every single pore and every single highlight on every single pore, that's just going to take way too much time, and I don't want to do that. I just want to make this look realistic without it being photorealistic. I want it to have the texture be and the details be implied. So from a distance it looks real, but as you get up close to it, you can tell that it's painted, right? And so that's what I'm doing right now. It's looking a bit chalky and porcelain and shiny, unskin-like, and that's what we're just trying to push through. Is fine-tune all these shadows, push the lights, push the darks, get it close to where it needs to be. There's some interesting things happening here under the nose where some light's being reflected and there's darks and lights. Usually when you think of a shadow, you think underneath, like underneath the nose, it's got to be a shadow, but there's reflected light coming up and making the bottom of the nose lighter than the middle part of the nose because of the reflected light. So pay attention to the reflected light and the relationship of the values. As I paint with this soft brush, one thing that I really pay attention to is the edges, because it very easily could look airbrushed if you don't have hard edges and everything's soft. You need to have hard edges. The top of the lips are very soft, so that's okay, but some of the bottom part of the lip has a very fine reflection on it that is pretty hard edged. So pay attention to how the edges curve around objects and how they reflect light and what type of edges you need to paint. Okay, now I'm coming back in and using a oil painting brush. I'm painting some of this texture. Now in Photoshop, there's brushes that have that texture. In a real oil painting, I like to use the texture of the canvas to lightly brush over the top, and the texture of the canvas will grab texture and grab the lights and give it some texture. But we don't have that luxury here. So coming in on the lips and adding some more detail. That's where the main detail is going to be, is just on the lips. That's where the focus is. And then everything else, I'm going to just lightly add this texture, and I'm going to add some opacity and push it back a little bit so it's not in your face and it looks a little bit more realistic. But if you look at somebody's skin, look at your hand or a different part of skin on your body, there's lots of different shadows, and even within the skin there's different colors that come through. On the knuckles of your hand are much more red, and around it becomes less warm, and so there's lots of variations. So your skin is never flat in one color. There's not really a skin tone color because light affects it differently. There's different factors, so you don't really mix a skin tone. I'm focusing a lot on this upper cheek because that's where a lot of the light is hitting, and it's creating some texture there that you really notice. And so I'm just layering lights and darks, and making it look like pores and different things going on in that cheek area, which really helps give it more life and personality. And then so this cooler shadow area too, adding some blotchiness and skin imperfections. So that's how I approach making skin look like skin and making it look lifelike. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. And if you get a second, like and subscribe. And thanks for watching.